ओम ओम सदाशिवसमारंभा शंकराचार्यमध्यमा अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ता वन्दे गुरुपरम्परा गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुसाक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। श्रीहरिं परमानंदम उपदेष्टारमीश्वरं व्यापकं सर्वलोकानां कारणं तं नमाम्यहम्। So if you remember, now we are almost fourth parts of discussion. The first we discussed Atma, Anatma, Viveka. So after discussing that one thing that is called Atma, and also there is Anatma, it exists but not independently. And because it has no independent existence, that's why I cannot be Anatma, but I am Atma. And as we started seeing the further, in second also we saw, look, there is nothing called Anatma. It is just a Nama and Rupa, a name and form. In fact, everything is Atma. And for that we saw many examples that related to our day-to-day life. And then also we discussed all this problem happens because of association with ignorance. Related to that, we saw many examples. When the teacher discovered now the student is recipient listening to it, then the teacher said, look, after knowing this knowledge, you have to continue your life. Not that you can say, look, now you understood, you are enlightened, now you are free, you can do whatever you want, you can, the way you want to live, you can. No, not like that. So that's why the advice was being given, verse number especially 88, 89, that may you live your life the way it is being getting unfolded, without ahankara and without abhimana. Means allowing whatever happens, allowing things to be unfolded, and of course being aware of it so that you do your still nididhyasana so that commitment continues further and further. While discussing up to this, from 90 to 99, Adi Shankaracharya wants to get into another topic. In fact, he is going to negate whatever we had discussed in Tattvabodha and different texts. So that point we were discussing. Now we have come to this point that as all of us we know, this is what Shastra talks, that for a wise person, now there is no agami, there is no sanchita karma. And when there is no agami, there is no sanchita karma because of lack of what? Ahankara and abhimana. Now when these two are not there, definitely there is no one to claim. And even though karma exists, it does not come to the account of a wise person because there is no account, there is no one to claim. It's like you open a bank account, you deposit a lot of money, but there is no one to claim. and you have not fixed any nominee. So that money cannot come back to your account, nor anybody. It will go to the total account national funds. That is how banking works. And they earn huge money, as I told you, especially in India, because most of the Swami, they open account without any nominee. And every year, how many Swamijis are passing away? And nobody claims. So when nobody claims, so slowly that money gets into the funds, the government. And what government does, don't ask. Okay? That's another point. However, uh, here coming back to the point that there is no this agami and sanchita, but prarabdha continues. That's why the prarabdha continues because it has already opened up. Like the fan. The fan is moving. You have switched up the fan, but still it is in a momentum. So it will continue the momentum. So that the body was born out of ignorance. This wise body also was born out of ignorance. Even though person has understood, still this body mind complex will continue till it falls off. That is what we have discussed in details in Tattva and other places. But here he says entirely different. Now let us read what he wants to say. उत्पन्नेप्यत्म विज्ञाने प्रारब्धं नैव मुञ्चते इति यत् श्रूयते शास्त्रे तन्निराक्रियते धुना. Says, look, आत्मविज्ञाने उत्पन्ने सति प्रारब्धम अपि न मुञ्चति एव इति यत् शास्त्रं श्रूयते तत् अधुना निराक्रियते. So tat adhuna nirakriyate. That is now being refuted, dismissed. So what is that is being now dismissed? He says, look, Shastra shruyate, yat shastram shruyate. So that which was heard in the Shastra, means Shastra had talked few things. Now question may arise, what is that Shastra spoke? He says nothing, but Shastra spoke what? Atma Vigyane Utpanne Sati Prarabdham Na Munchati Eva. So even though after the waking up to oneself, after the self-knowledge, after the person understands, even after understanding, Shastra highlighted that prarabdham continues. The person cannot be, let us say, be free, munchati, okay, cannot be freed from prarabdha. That's why one news started spreading in India, because these are the things you have to understand. They will say, you know, for example, sake I'm bringing it with due respect. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, so he was enlightened and he suffered from cancer. Ramana Maharshi also. So that means whoever suffers from cancer becomes enlightened master. And I'm not telling you jokes. So there was a person in Tiruvannamalai. So he went through cancer, and that is what they said. And he became, a great yogi, and he became enlightened person in Tiruvannamalai. And he was being, marketed because look, why cancer comes? Because they take all the sins, papam of all the devotees. So all are marketing strategy, but you have to really appreciate that, okay? How they market it. How? Because these are the things you have to understand. You may think it is a criticism, but this is the truth, reality, okay? When you move with the world, then you will understand, not being in your cocoon. How? Here, when we look at this prarabdham, we say prarabdham continues. And based on the prarabdha, the person gets, or especially health, is based on completely prarabdha. After knowledge, a wise can be free from cholesterol or can have full of cholesterol. Okay. So whether you are free from cholesterol, cholesterol is nothing, don't worry, or you are high cholesterol. So we explain it has nothing to do with this life, but it has something to do with previous life. Hey, that doesn't mean that you drink all the time, ghee and butter and no exercise. And you say, look, this is my last life's karma. Yes, yes, please continue. Okay. Wish you all the best. However, here he says, look, whatever we have discussed, now it is going to be refuted. It is going to be dismissed. Means prarabdha also does not exist for a wise person. This is a very new point concept that is being brought in this text. That's why this text is not meant for everybody. Unless the person is adhikari, unless the person has gone through few texts, must not attend or must not really, cherish this, because then it will be confusion. And especially when you have emotional issues, Vedanta, instead of supporting you, will drown you. That's why we say very carefully, at least along with the Vedanta, if there is upasana, because as per the rule karma yoga, then after your karma yoga comes upasana, then after upasana comes what? Vedanta Shravana. This is supposed to be. But we have some exceptions. Nowadays things are different. At least parallelly it should continue. Karma yoga, upasana, and Vedanta Shravana. If three does not continue together, remember, Vedanta is fantastic as long as you don't have emotional issues. If you start some emotional issue, if you develop some emotional issue, what you do? What you will throw first? You will throw Vedanta. And there is no upasana, there is no what? Karma yoga. Life will be full of confusion and disaster, personal disaster. And I have been watching many people from this. And moreover, if there is no karma yoga, only upasana. No, Swamiji, I am doing upasana. But no karma yoga. Even if in a gross way I am talking about it, okay? So what does this upasana mean? So upasana means what? To become more powerful, to grab more. Hey, asuras also do upasana. They do better upasana than you. In fact, they become more powerful because of the upasana. But there is no karma yoga. So that's why indirectly few days back I asked all of you, please do something for the knowledge. You need to spare every day sometime as you are listening to Vedanta for half an hour, 1 hour, you need to do something where your interest is not involved, where you are not selfish, where you don't have grabbing attitude. You have to spend some time every day doing something which will take care of not only likes and dislikes for the society, not according to your way, okay? That's also equally dangerous. Swamiji, I am taking care of the society, like I am taking care of my family. Yes, this is my society. Fantastic. Wish you all the best. I am taking care of, like, in Chennai, there is a person, very nice. So he himself calls as Philanthropist. Okay, very nice fellow. So what he does, because you should Chennai, we have all examples. So what he does till now, if any organization sends one, I don't know, event or application, anything, so there will be one check, whatever little amount money that fellow sends, and that will be recorded. And based on that, the person gets Padma Shri and other awards. And time to time gathering, all these musicians, this and that together, having a food and together how much money he spends, that will be, already recorded. So based on that, he will get Padma Bhushana, Padma Vibhushana, blah, blah, blah. So there are people, I'm not telling, I have seen him personally, that's why I'm trying to talk this point, okay? However, coming to the point, hey, that is not Karma Yoga. Yes, that is again different. So I am part of this, Rotary Club, this club, that club I'm doing. Hey, that is not Karma Yoga. You know better, okay? Just examples like I brought Rotary, okay? I don't have anything to talk against anybody. So here you need to do something. I'm highlighting again and again, seriously, so that you are doing something which is again going to be helpful for your commitment towards knowledge. However, choice is yours. Then comes upasana. If there is no upasana, especially when you are not one or you don't have your presiding deity in your hand, if you don't relate with your deity, now when there is a clash or there is a conflict in any of your relationship, because relationship means what? It is only conflict, nothing else. Now tell me, is there anything called, without conflict, there is any relationship? There cannot be. Very nicely, what I can say very nicely. A lot of reels nowadays come. People don't have anything to do, busy in making reels, okay? Especially women. So this has become a new profession called roasting, roaster, whatever, okay? So, and her wife and husband, both of them are pledging. So what they pledged, okay, now let us play something. What? Now from today onwards, wife and husband, from today onwards, wife also repeat, okay? We will not fight with each other. Wife stops. Hey, how can you say this? Without fighting, how can I survive? Hey, look, the relationship, other name of the relationship is fighting. As long as I am fighting, that long I am healthy. Don't say this. I cannot accept it. Which is true. So coming back here, when Ishta Devata is there with you, when you are doing your upasana, then only you will be a stable person because you have very strong what that we call observer. You have backup. When there is shock observer, strong shock observer, anything happens in your life, you are not going to collapse. And that mind called healthy mind is available for Vedanta. Not when everything is good, I am available for Vedanta. When little bit goes here and there, sorry, Swamiji. That's why when you have some priority and you drop from the class, first thing you drop from the class, okay? Little bit priority comes. Then what does it mean? Good. This half an hour is a time pass. Good. Nothing wrong in it because for me it is useful, okay? Because for me it is not time pass, okay? In fact, I am down when I have to take the class. My mind becomes totally different, okay? I enjoy it. And with that person or with this understanding, now the Vedanta starts working. Then when you talk about this concept, prarabdha does not exist, you will be able to understand, or else nothing will enter. Continuing, or else I'll keep talking. Tattvajnanodayat urdham prarabdham naiva vidyate Dehadinama sattvatu yatha sopno vivodhatah. So he gives a beautiful example. Look, why you say prarabdham does not exist? Now, even though he gives a beautiful example, he gives Swapnaha Vibodhataha Yatha Swapnaha Vibodhataha. Let us look at that, then it becomes easier. So, once the person wakes up, after waking up, the Swapna, the dream, and the objects of dream, the suffering or pain in dream does not exist. Does it exist? It doesn't exist. But if you remember dream and you have some psychological issues, then what happened? Then you will say, not only you start recollecting, sharing your dream, also you will go to dream reader. Okay. So there are people, professionals, those who can make you, if you have seen what you call, very nicely they will say, I am nothing's coming. Oh God. So if you see white elephant is fantastic because one white elephant comes because one fellow before born, it seems his mother saw the dream of white elephant. So that's why, okay. And if you see dog, this will happen. If you see cat, this will happen. If you become cat, don't ask what will happen, okay? If you happen to be cat in dream, okay? And somebody asked, suppose if I become a cat and I am chasing behind the rats, what would be? That is, best thing to happen, okay? But then next question comes, suppose that rat happens to be this Tom and Jerry situation, what will happen? That we have not studied in our calculation, that is not there, okay? However, the concept here is once you wake up, the dream and the dream world has no value, does not exist. There is no point of wasting or analyzing. There is no point of giving too much importance to the dream world unless you have some psychological issue. I'm very clearly I'm telling you. Because unless you have some psychological issues, will you analyze a dream? Is it necessary? Definitely not. But if you have some psychological issues, yes, you can. Maybe that will be helpful for you. Okay. And if you are analyzing psychological issues through the dream, you are not meant for Vedanta either. Because it contradicts completely. It doesn't work. However, here he says how this happens. But in the case of psychological disturbed people, dream analysis or still the dream world exists, we know, because the fellow is still daydreaming. So what is the psychological disturbance? Psychological disturbance is nothing where your subconscious mind is working more than supposed to work. Your unresolved mind, unattended thoughts are popping up without your interference, without your knowledge, or without your permission. Correct. And same thing happens in dream too. So that means when you are psychologically disturbed, still you are in the dream world. So what we call as diva sopna. That means you are dreaming in the day. So many people do know while walking they dream good. At least, okay? They are not sleeping and walking, okay? So, however, here he says this, how this happens. Now he gives this example very nicely, very carefully. What he says that Tattva Jnana Udayat Urdham. So once Tattva Jnanam is, is known, or after this, when the Tattva Jnanam Udayat, after the rising of Tattva Jnana, once the person is abiding with this knowledge that I am consciousness, I am Atma iti, I am not Deha Prapancha iti. And when this happens, he says, look, then Dehadinam Asatvat. Once this is there, now this Deha, the body, is it Sat or is it Asat? Deha, the body mind complex, is it Sat or Asat? Automatically it is what? Asat. Means it does not have independent existence. It has existence, but it doesn't have independent existence. So when it does not have independent existence, that means what? Do they have value? It's like the cloth doesn't have independent existence. Now if I try to take away all the thread, so where is the existence of this cloth? Now what he says beautifully, Dehadhinam, and all this body mind complex being asat, asatatvat. Now prarabdha, is it sat or asat? The prarabdha, is it sat or asat? That is also asat. So where does the prarabdha exist? So we are only playing with the words called prarabdha. It's a very beautiful astra, okay? Weapon, you can kill yourself. That's why I told you beforehand. Vedanta is the one of the ultimate weapon. One can, handle mind, one can destroy everybody, including one's own mind. That's why at the moment you use Vedantic logic to prove yourself, to find out others' mistake, you are in the path of destruction. And nobody can help you. And that's why in Vedanta teaching, we make sure before we worship the teacher for knowledge, after knowledge, again we worship the teacher for expressing our gratitude. We never compromise on this traditionally at all. Because except this in traditional aspect, all other places a disaster. And people use Vedantic terminology, Vedantic logic, or you can say Vedantic knowledge, I would rather say information, to fight with others, to make one's own self feel better, superior. Or you can say they become orator, they become writer, they become this, that. Because once this thing happens, what happens? In the process, I always work to strengthen my intellectual faculty and ignore the emotional part. Can you see this point very carefully? And when I don't address or strengthen my emotional aspect, then what happens? I am very good as long as everything is good with me. A life is not all about that. If little bit goes here and there wrong, not according to me, then what happens? My whole world collapses, and whoever is in front, that person becomes my target. Is it clear or not? So that's why we are very clear. We don't teach Vedanta to everybody. If in the beginning, what we'll say, okay, let us have this Bhaja Govindam, few texts, or Bhagavad Gita, 1 or 2, 3 chapters. Okay, chapter is over, you can go. have 1 or 2 months, that's more than enough. Because when you get it to Vedanta seriously, and you are not continuing along with Vedantic way, then what happens? You know better. Now, looking at that, he says, look, the prarabdham itself is asat. And the prarabdham that you are talking related to the body, that is also asat. So when you are talking asat and you yourself dismissed earlier, asat does not exist. Means it doesn't have independent existence. Why are you talking? Don't you think it's a waste of time? So that means what? Prarabdha does not exist. Clear? Continuing. Very nice point to look at, okay? Now, karma janmantariyam yat prarabdham iti kirtitam tattu janmantara bhavat पुंसो नैवास्ति कर्ह्यचे. So he says, look, what is called prarabdha? Again, he doesn't want to spare now, okay? So prarabdha is nothing. Janmantariyam yat karma tat prarabdham iti kirtitam. In previous life, in past lives, whatever we had done, everything was in sanchita karma, accumulated. And from that, one package has been fructified. That is called prarabdha. Prak arabdhatvat, because of which body comes, body mind complex comes, or because of which you can say the sukshma sarira, karana sarira, and stula sarira joins together. Now, here, if this is the case, you are talking about previous life. Then previous life karma. Then you are talking previous life's karma phala. Then that karma phala gets fructified. That is named as prarabdha. And that is called your body-mind complex day-to-day activities. This is what you are talking about. It. Fantastic. Now, next point he says, look, a pumsaha, a person who is knowledgeable now, who has been woken up already. So that person, jnanina haityartha, a wise person, janmantara abhava. So that means this person does not have or will not have, or there is absence of janmantara, future birth. Now, prarabdham tat tu naeva karichit asti. For that person, how come there will be prarabdha? There is no prarabdham at all. Because you are talking about a previous life, first of all, and previous life karma phala. Now here the person does not look at himself as body-mind complex, because it looks at body-mind complex is asat, which doesn't have existence by itself. It needs somebody's help. And with that, how can you do it? Because remember, only it can happen when you do something with the help of someone. Then what will happen? Only, government can be formed, or you can say violence can be created, but not constructive work. You understand? So here also same thing, confusion can happen. Now, this person, the one who is wise, for him or her, there is no coming life. So when there is no coming life, this life itself, he doesn't accept it. Because the life itself is nothing. Because it is just continuing. Already fan is switched off. It is keep moving, keeps rotating. Now, how does it matter whether it rotates or not? Whether it stops or not? If it moves, fine. If it doesn't move, how does it matter? If things happens or doesn't happen, how does it matter? This completely depends upon the avoidance with the knowledge with the one's self. And here, this sort of things we very, very carefully explain. This cannot be understood in the class. This is something as the person starts living, will discover how things are falling down on its place. It's exactly with this story. I'll stop it. If you are conscious of, let us say, cleanness and dirt. So your practical example, okay, you are a Jnani, but still you are conscious of dirt and cleanness. If your hair falls down, now is it dirt or not? As long as hair was on your head, it was perfect. Once it falls down, it becomes dirty. Hair should not fall here and there. Then you clean, you do everything. But when you look at, there is no dirty, there is no cleanness, because you don't bother, you do not care. Wherever hair falls, what happens? That has fallen down in right place, right time. It has nothing to do with. Swamiji, that's why I don't clean anything. Nah. Look at me. I don't clean at all. Now I am already, a one enlightened person. Now do you accept me or not? Hey, this is, your tamas. Don't bring your tamas and present tamas as enlightenment, okay? First from tamas become rajasic, from rajasic become sattvic, then make sattva guna predominance, then come to understanding, then you don't have to talk at all. That's why the moment you start mapping the teaching in your mind, please remember, moment you start mapping the teaching in your mind means you are not yet prepared. More of it. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Dachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, all of you. Namaste.